We'll continue our study of Proverbs as we lead ourselves in a place of prayer. We get into verse 5 today. He says, the righteousness of the blameless, one who is on the path of righteousness, what he does will direct his way aright. Our righteousness will direct our way aright. It will tell us what to do. When we're in between two opinions, we will do what will keep us in the path of righteousness. And well, I see that, even in marriage, you have to make decision at several point in time. And it's easy to know what to do because you can't do that would affect your relationship with God. It's I guess a marriage relationship is one of those most tedious things that we do because was what you do in the secret of your house, nobody probably knows, but you know that God is in that relationship and He will judge, not only your doing, but the intent of your doing. Because even your wife might not know the intent of what you're doing. God is not only going to judge your doing, but the intent of your doing. But then your desire, your consecration, your commitment, to live a life that is blameless before God, will direct you as to what to do or not do in every single situation, in every single situation or circumstance that you come against. Anywhere you find yourself, it's that place again where we say that we live our lives observed, where we live like people who, we live recognizing the fact that someone is looking at us wherever we find ourselves. Yeah, and you might not know the person that's looking at you, but someone is taking a cue from your life. You are a leader. Each of us is a leader. Someone is being affected by what we do or not do. You know, I'm reading a book titled Influence by Robert Cialdini. And one of the quotes there, and this is chapter 4 of the book, talking about social proof. It says that when we're free to do whatsoever we want to do, we typically would do what we see other people doing because it's a part of least resistance. It's a part of the least resistance just to copy someone that we see, what every other person is doing. When we don't think, if all the what we seemingly will be influenced by what we see people around us doing. Typically, will be people that we trust, the people that we believe in, but generally we tend to do what is common, right? Unless then we think it again and say, oh, no, 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 what is common is probably not the right type, but the general tendency of human beings is to do what is common around, what is popular around, what every other person is doing. Sometimes it's okay, if you are found in the right group. Say, for instance, you're in the church, you are praying because other people are praying. You are reading your Bible because other people are reading their Bible. You are worshiping and you are being influenced by what other people are doing. But if you find yourself in the wrong crowd, then you need to wake up and think because as a consequence, to whatever you do, you can't use what other people are doing as an example, as an excuse. But that still leaves us with a responsibility because people are watching us. My wife watches me. As much as my wife will want to tell me how much she's independent, I see some things that she does only because I have done it. I do some things and I see my wife beginning to do it. And I say, all right. It just tells me she's taking a cue from me. She won't admit it. She won't come and admit it and say she's doing it, but I can see it, I observe it. I seem to be the one leading her in a way saying this is right or that is wrong. So I then have to be careful because I have someone looking at me, even an adult like my wife, who will not easily admit it, but she's taking a cue because for whatever reason she believes in me. right? So it's a duty then for me to show the way and be a good example. Not to then talk about my own children, but God will help us, be the example, the leader that He would want us to be.